I am Chris Cuomo. Welcome to Primetime. The president today making the case that he has done nothing wrong. This case seems to be plagued by contradictions. We're going to test them with the president's best defender, Kellyanne Conway. And now the president's good friend say the president was actually in the room when the plan was hatched to pay off women who threatened his campaign. Legal exposure for that? We'll take it up in Cuomo's court. Criminal prosecution is a maybe. Political scrutiny, 100%, especially if the president is shown to be lying about key issues. How bad could it be? That's the topic for the great debate. Lots to test. Let's get after it. New information for you. Donald Trump not only knew about the plan for payments to help his campaign, he was at the meeting that hatched the plan. Who says? Reportedly, his friend who ran the Inquirer, David Pecker, who was also at the meeting. Brings up once again that haunting question. Why lie if you had nothing to hide? I want to put this latest in a string of apparent contradictions to White House counselor Kellyanne Conway. Welcome back to Primetime. First things first, Merry Christmas to you and the kids. Bon Natale, best to the family.
Bon Natale, my mother's maiden name, Di Natale. Merry Christmas, Christopher. I have to take issue with the way you just stated things as if they're fact.
Please.
Well, you just stated things as if they were fact. Look at what we have now, snark and bark against the president. I mean, let's be fair here. You have federal election commissioners, former ones. You have people who are election law experts saying that just because people who said that they were asked to commit a crime here, there's not a crime. One guy said today that Michael Cohen pled guilty to something that's not a crime. And his whole point in that article that people should read is that if you, for example, if you were going to do something anyway, irrespective of you being a federal candidate for office, it's not a campaign expense, it's a personal expense. Otherwise, successful entrepreneurs who want lawsuits to go away or make nuisance payments, maybe to save embarrassment toward their family or to just get rid of specious or false claims, then that would always if they've ever been in the last 45 years or so been a candidate for federal office, it would count as a campaign expense. Campaign funds. But
that's not the current case
used here, and
it's not the current case. We have Robert Ray on the show tonight. That's the lawyer you're speaking about. I have him on the show later today. We'll go through his theory with him. No, I'm
actually not talking about him. I'm talking
really? Because that's what he wrote
Hans
about.
von Spakovsky, but I'm also talking about Bradley. So I'm talking about people who are experts in this field.
Right, but I'm not.
That's
But why?
important.
But I'm not in the speculation business. I'm talking about facts. David Pecker was at the meeting. He says the president was at the meeting. That's a fact.
Okay. So you like to imbue? No. Stop just saying words facts and lies because
that is a fact by definition.
It's an extra $100 every time. Hold on.
I wish.
But you are saying that a year, 1 year before I became campaign manager for the winning part of the campaign and never was involved in anything of this sort. Nothing. Zero. When he actually
good thing to call out right now, by the way. It is a good time to distinguish yourself.
This is important.
Go ahead.
This is important. No, this is important, Christopher.
Go ahead.
This is very important because you're talking about a full year before that, relatively early in the primary season. You're talking about people saying we did this in furtherance of the election. There is just no proof of that. That is somebody's opinion. And why did we do nothing like this? Why was I not told anything about this? Hey, if we're really beating Hillary, if she can't get above 50% in these 10 or 11 states where President Obama carried the states twice with more than 50%, we could just pull the ripcord and we've got this going for us. It makes no sense. I mean, under the argument
it may not make sense, but they're just facts, Kellyanne. They're facts.
No, they're not facts. You want them to be facts. You don't know.
Michael Cohen hatched the plan.
President Trump has said that he never directed anybody to do that.
I know he said that, but the evidence shows otherwise. The evidence shows
Where do you see the evidence, Christopher?
The tape,
No.
The tape
Your
that we
agenda
have,
wants you to show otherwise.
If you want me to offer the proof, I will.
Thinking,
you let me know when you're ready. Let me know when you're ready. You ready?
No. But before you do that, let's stipulate something as very happily former attorneys, both of us.
Please.
Fully recovered attorneys.
Still licensed. Go ahead.
You are stipulating things as fact because you want them to be facts.
Untrue.
Unlicensed too. You want them to be facts. You want them to be true. Wait a second.
Untrue.
You imbue credibility to people depending on who they are and what gifts they come.
These are
diversionary
tactics.
Oh,
we have a tape. with the president and Michael
You're imbuing
Cohen
credibility.
discussing the transaction. We have David Pecker, who was part of the transaction, saying the president knew, he was present, and that we did it in order to help his campaign. Fact, fact, fact.
No. That is not what he. No. That was what he thought he was doing. He wasn't part of the campaign. In fact, every single time that CNN has referred to David Pecker, or may I say Michael Cohen, you've never really said they were part of the campaign. Every time I went back and looked today, when you had Michael Cohen, whom I've known for 12 years and served on a Trump World Tower board with, so I've known him for a very long time. Every time CNN had Michael Cohen on as a guest, you identified him as the executive vice president of the Trump organization. Not a single time did you say that he was on the campaign. Why is that relevant? Because now you want these things to be in furtherance of an election.
They don't have to be a member of the campaign in order to be doing it in furtherance of the campaign.
Why is it not a fact? Sorry, why is it not a fact? Why are you just dismissing the fact that the President of the United States, the duly elected President of the United States, has said he has never directed Michael Cohen to break the law? He hired counsel, and he believes counsel and advice of counsel, lawyers, accountants, whomever, professionals are paid to do what they're being asked to do.
Fair point, Kellyanne.
He didn't direct anybody.
Fair point.
Where's your knowingly and willfully?
Fair point.
Where's your knowingly and
Let's lay it out, because this is one of the contradictions I want you to address.
A fact. No. A fact.
Fine. Call it a fact. You should be able to follow your lawyer's advice if that person is, in fact, your lawyer, which takes us to one of the contradictions. Here was the president looking at this two different ways on the suitability of convenience. Go ahead.
Why did you hire Michael Cohen? He was known as a fixer.
I'll tell you what, first of all.
That was his title, a
very
fixer.
low-level work.
Why did you need him?
He did more public relations than he did law. I never directed him to do anything wrong. Whatever he did on his own. He's a lawyer. A lawyer who represents a client is supposed to do the right thing. That's why you pay them a lot of money, et cetera, et cetera.
Those two things cannot go together. Either he was a low-level PR guy who wasn't really your lawyer, or he was your lawyer who was telling you what to do and you followed his advice as counsel. The president just said both.
Christopher, Christopher, you literally just played the clip of the president, his own words that he stated today, and then you paraphrase them. You're not being honest. Let the president's words speak for themselves.
Please tweet me and let me know if I got it wrong.
That's right, but then you felt the need to paraphrase, and then you felt the need to paraphrase, and
not
just
at
like
all.
everybody loves to have
I'm
people
characterizing
play
something
on TV,
that's
tell
obvious.
us what this all means.
Nope.
So the most important thing the president just said that goes to the essential case here is that he never directed Michael Cohen to break the law. Why is that not important or credible to you? It's important and credible to the rest of the country and ought to be, except for the people so blinded by their hatred towards him or their wishful thinking that he won't be president. If they just close their eyes and click their heels 3 times, he really won't be president and somebody else will be or she will be. We'll just go back 2 years. Get over it.
I don't think that's what it's about.
The day before Election Day, you were on bended knee in front of a chart, a map of the whole country, and it literally said on your Twitter feed, uno más, meaning one more. She only needs one more state. You had her at 216.
I've never been on bended knee in my life except when I proposed. I don't go on bended knee.
I'll pull it up and I'll put it on the screen. I'll find it. Because by the way, I'm looking. Everybody should know.
I don't care about the election. I don't care about the election. I care about the
you're reading a teleprompter
of what happened. I'm not reading a teleprompter.
This is about the election. Oh, no. Sorry, you can't talk about this and then say, I don't care about the election. Why are we talking about the election?
I'm talking about what may have affected the election
in the White House,
and the president telling the truth.
Oh, but you don't want to talk about the election.
And he's not telling the truth about this.
The president is telling the truth.
He isn't, and here's how we know.
Excuse me.
The president said that he knew nothing about the Stormy Daniels. Hold on a second.
If you're going to filibuster,
please. We can each have equal time.
Be fair.
It's not filibuster. I'm giving you an opportunity, but you got to let me lay out the facts.
You're supposed to ask the questions.
He said on the plane, I know nothing about the Stormy Daniels.
When the payment was
made. Okay?
That's what he meant.
He said, I don't know anything about it. Ask my lawyer. The truth is, he knew everything about it. We have him on tape saying it. David Pecker, who's a party to it, says he was there. It is incontrovertible. That's why prosecutors believe it.
Whoa, it is not. You're way offline. You're showing partisan stripes respectfully. Wait a second. You cannot say it's incontrovertible. Yes. You cannot say it's incontrovertible when it is based on
incontrovertible
by individuals. Hold on. No, that's not true. Hold on. When the president said, and let me speak, please. Don't invite me on. I'm like the only person in the White House who will come on. So don't do that. It's not fair.
And that is their mistake, and good for you for taking the opportunity. They should not be cowards.
The president said in April, they're not cowards. They're wonderful people. But the president but they don't like to be interrupted 9 o'clock at night. The president said in April on Air Force One They said, did you know about the payments? He said, no. I asked the president, what did you mean by that? Because by April of 2018, the whole world knew, based on the Stormy Daniels revelation. So the whole world knew.
Good point. Why do you lie?
So he wasn't talking about what he knew in April. He did not lie. He's talking about when the payment was made. I asked him that, and I said it on a couple of Sunday shows that very next weekend in April or May, because I asked him, what did you mean? And he told me.
Why didn't he ever clarify it?
And the privilege of asking the president. Hold on, he sends me, we did qualify. It's important. Christopher, in April of 2018, Donald J. Trump, the president, and everybody else were told about the payment. So
he knew about it from its inception.
You've been misplaying that for 8 months.
He came up with the plan.
No, hold on. You're saying incontrovertible based on the testimony of people who are trying to get a better deal and a lighter sentence for themselves. Be fair here and don't call it incontrovertible because you're imbuing credibility on individuals.
I have a tape of him discussing what to do with Michael Cohen.
No, you have a tape.
Yes.
Christopher, I've been involved in conversations like that on the 26th floor, not like that, with that kind of
Yeah, I was going to say, God forbid.
But you are asking, no, hold on. But tell me this. CNN, you included, nobody out there said, I think that Donald Trump is going to win this election unless he was paying off some of these women.
It's not a relevant question.
You said he couldn't win.
It's not a relevant question.
No, it's very relevant because
What's
it's
relevant
very relevant
is whether
because you're
he
saying
told
that
the
these
truth
payments
about
were
it,
made
and
in
if not,
furtherance of an
why
election.
did he lie about it?
No. What's relevant to the statute, there's a statute at play here. You can't just play lawyer on TV. There's a statute, and the statute says in furtherance of an election.
Right.
Now, and it's got to be a campaign expense. These are personal expenses in furtherance of an election.
They could have a personal motivation
anyway,
and a campaign motivation. That's the holding from the John Edwards case.
Ways.
No, that's what the judge said.
No, that's a totally different fact pattern.
That's what the judge said.
Let's review for everybody that John Edwards was a presidential campaign sleeping with his videographer who was paid $1 million.
Yeah. She was also the mother of his child.
Case, very different set
and there
of
were
facts.
Support payments being made.
Well, hold on.
And he was indicted. He was charged, indicted, and went to trial. And he was acquitted on one charge, and they were hung on 2 others. So I don't know that it's the best analogy for you.
But wait a second. At least he had the opportunity to do what you're not giving President Trump the opportunity to do.
I give it to him every night. If he wants to come on here and make the case, I'll give him the whole hour.
Which is under oath. No, but Christopher, wait a second. This is TV. You can't convict somebody, indict somebody.
I don't want to convict anybody. I want the truth. And I want the president to keep himself out of harm's way.
You're telling America what the truth is now, and you're out of bounds. No, he's not. No. You just like to say the president lies, so then it goes viral.
I actually don't like it. No, Kellyanne, honest to God, I don't like it.
He said
today, I really wish I didn't ever have to say it.
He said today that he never directed Michael Cohen to break the law. That's what the president said. And
Michael
you're telling
Cohen
the viewers right
and
now
David
who
Pecker
expect you to be
both
anti-Trump,
deny that.
your viewers.
No, they actually get frustrated with me because they believe we're too balanced on the show. They don't want me to have you on. They don't want me to have any on from the administration.
They're mad at you for having me on. Right. And you know why that is, right? They don't want you to have me on. And my Aunt Rita said today, I don't know why you go on with him. He's not nice to you, but she's watching, I'm sure. But Christopher, listen, your viewers don't want me to have you.
You know I'm
don't want
coming
to have
from
me on for a very simple reason. Hold on. Can you please let me speak?
Go ahead.
Please. Christopher, they don't want you to have me on for a very simple reason. They accept, if not expect, you and the rest of CNN to be anti-Trump all day long. And you know it. You don't have the same viewership that CNN once had.
The reason they get frustrated is they believe that you guys don't answer questions and that you spin a lot and that you ignore what's obvious as fact.
You going to call me a liar? Go ahead. You going to call me a liar?
If I have to, I will.
Because you're calling.
If I have to, I will.
Really?
I don't want to call you a liar.
I dare you to do it. What is it I lied about?
I'm not saying that you're lying. Right now, you're denying
I'm not looking at a teleprompter with people telling me what to say, but I can certainly hold these up.
I don't have a teleprompter. Nobody's telling me what to say. Kellyanne, listen, you're very clever.
Here you are. Here's your Twitter feed. It says, on bended knee, uno mas. I love this one. November 7th, the day before the election. I know you just said, you just lied. I've never been on bended knee.
That is not any
This is the day before the election, November 7th.
It's a joke. The picture is
Says
a
you're on
joke.
bended knee. Fortunately, there's no American flag there, but
The
you're on bended
picture
knee saying
is a
268
joke.
Hillary.
You're suggesting,
Uno mas means she needs one more.
that I was so desperate for an
I
outcome
got a whole stack here.
that now I want to punish the president for winning. And that's just untrue
No,
and
what I'm
silly.
suggesting
I'm
is-
calling out obvious,
No, here's what's silly.
controversies of truth.
No, it's not obvious.
David Pecker says he was at the
Christopher, it's
meeting.
not obvious.
Michael Cohen says he knew
There are
all
people-
about it. The tape says he knew all about it. Why deny it?
Michael, you're imbuing credibility to people who are playing to your wishful thinking, and you shouldn't do that. The President of the United States just today said he never directed Michael Cohen to break the law. And I want to tell you something. If an individual, particularly a widely popular, very well-known, wealthy entrepreneur, would do something, whether he was running for federal office or not, and he does it anyway, as one of his lawyers, Rudy Giuliani, have stated, sometimes you're trying to get rid of a nuisance. Sometimes you're trying to save your family from embarrassment. And this is what happens.
You can have
You would do
multiple
it
reasons
anyway
for
in your
doing one of
personal
these
capacity.
transactions, and you don't
But
have
you're
to
not giving
direct the
credence to
action
those.
to be part of the action. All right, that's just the law. And again,
You're not giving credence
I am
to this.
not
But wait a
doing
second. I
this
want to know
from a point of
why these folks would be paid.
It's just about the truth. That's all.
You are, though. You don't want to hear from the defense. You don't want to hear. You don't even want to.
I'm having you on for
you don't want
exactly
to
this
hear
reason. I have people on
anything.
all
You're
the
saying
time to make the case.
incontrovertible facts.
It is an
You're saying
incontrovertible fact that
you're
the
misleading
president
the
knew
audience.
about what was being done with these payments. You know it.
You don't
I
know
know
that.
it. He knows it.
You don't know it. No,
I do
you
know
don't
it.
know that. No, I
We
don't
all
know
know
that. I'll
it.
tell you why. I'll tell you
Yes.
why.
That's why you're
Because
saying now it's not a crime.
Just like your phony baloney illusion, delusion, Russia collusion, which you don't talk about anymore much.
I don't even know what you
and
just
CNN
said.
With their screaming
I've-
graphics that I guess
you
are
have
in
me
the,
saying those three
are in the
words?
cellar now.
Listen,
No, hold on.
I
Just
say
because-
what the facts
there?
suggest.
No, there.
I say what the facts
You
suggest.
wanted that to say.
I'm not
oh,
here
what
to
the
project.
facts suggest. What
Yeah,
the facts
that's,
suggest.
That's
You
what
just
we
said they're
do
not
as
really
journalism.
facts, then.
You look at the facts and figure out what the story
So here's a good opportunity, a very natural inflection point for me to remind the donors to the GoFundMe page for Stormy Daniels that they basically have now given their money to possibly Donald Trump, since she raised a little bit more than $500,000 last I noticed, and nearly $300,000 of that they've been ordered to pay to Donald. So congratulations, the people who donated money to Stormy Daniels. You've actually now paid it to Donald Trump. I thought that would make for a great announcement tonight. I can't see you because I'm looking to a blank camera where you got people talking in your ear and reading stuff.
I don't have anybody
I'm just
talking
speaking
to
to a
my
blank
ear.
camera,
Why
but
do
I'm
you
sure
keep
you're-
saying that? Why
I'm sure
must
you're
you feel the
smiling.
need to
Because-
insult me personally in order to make a case?
No, I'm not
You want to
insulting
take
you
a shot
personally,
at
but
people
you're
who support
insulting
Stormy
me,
Daniels
and you're insulting
who
the
didn't want
President
to
of the
see
United States.
I am not. Look, the lying
No,
is the
I'm not
insult.
taking a shot at them. I'm thanking
The
them.
lying, no,
I'm
you're
thanking
not. You're
them
being
because they're now
facetious.
paying for the president's
And you're making it
attorney's
sound like
fees.
nothing bad
I'm
happened.
thanking them.
That's what you're
I want
doing.
to thank them. No, I want to thank them
don't
that
wanna
their
thank
money
them.
is going to a great cause.
Look,
It's going to pay.
let's get back
the
on
president's
point about why
attorney's
the
fees.
lying matters. Because one of the other arguments that
Don't
we're
call
hearing
them
now.
facts.
Well, you look. If
Don't
you
call
don't,
them
you don't have to like it.
incontrovertible facts.
But that's what they are. The president knew about this.
You're
okay?
reading.
And look,
a
but I don't want to keep
document,
beating
and
the
by
same
the way,
horse.
federal election
You made your point.
campaign
People have heard it.
finance experts today. No, campaign finance experts today said that this was a very aggressive prosecution, a very aggressive liberal reading of the campaign finance laws in the Southern District. You've got to know that the president and his attorneys
Michael Cohen also
will
pleaded
be
guilty to
responding.
it.
But you've already
David Pecker
prejudged
also
it.
admitted that they did it.
He pleaded guilty to a lot of things.
But why plead guilty if he didn't do
to
it?
many things.
Why would David Pecker say that he
pleaded
did it if he
guilty
didn't
to
do
many
it?
things.
Trump is his
Well,
good
according
friend.
to
He was
the
trying to help him
president,
out for years to his own risk.
Christopher, in August of 2015,
Mm-hmm.
what are you saying happened that didn't happen in August of 2016 that I wasn't made? Just like with Russia collusion,
Look,
I never talked.
all
to
I'm saying
Russian.
is he knew
I
what
was
was
the
happening
campaign
with the
manager.
women.
I didn't.
He was aware of it. He helped hatch the plan.
So where's
he
your
talked
nexus?
to Cohen about how
Where's
to do
your
it.
nexus?
Now, thank you for saying that.
CNN's on no solid ground to show a nexus. Oh, no, this is important.
Listen, you asked a
CNN
question,
is in
then
no
you
solid
answer.
ground. Under your argument.
What I'm saying is this.
Wait,
you
under
want to
your
look at the
argument-
nexus with Michael Cohen
under
and
your
Russia, I'll
argument,
give it to you. I'll give
any
it to you.
entrepreneur.
Forget about it. I don't want to have a legal debate about whether or not it's a crime. I'm telling you, I'm not worried about the prosecution. It's not my focus.
I didn't say that.
My focus
No, I
is the
didn't say
truth.
that. I didn't say
And
that. You said
Michael
that.
Cohen
No, the president
then
said he
starts
did
to
not.
talk
Your
about
focus
Russia.
is not the truth.
and says that he was
Respectfully, your
negotiating
focus
a
is not the
deal
truth.
when the president said he had no financial relationships with Russia. We now know that wasn't
Your
true.
focus is, hey, Christopher, do you think that the Russians influenced the outcome of the election?
I don't
You wanna
know.
Go out there?
But
Do
here's
you?
what I do know. Michael
Well,
Cohen
CNN
was trying to
promised
get a
that.
deal done for the president of the
You
United
promised
States
that.
when the
Those were
president
facts.
said that he had
Facts.
no
Incontrovertible
relationships
facts.
or businesses. Okay? I don't
So
give
he
an
has no
opinion about what I
relationship.
don't know. That's your job. What I'm saying is
Here's what I think. You
he
need a
was
better
trying to
relationship
get a
with the
deal
truth, and
done
not the truth as you want it
with
to be.
Russia. The president said he had nothing working. And then Michael Cohen says, I lied to Congress about it because
Where's
I
the
wanted to
Russia
cover the
collusion?
president and I
But that's what he
talked
said.
to
That isn't what the president
people
asked him to
close
do.
to the
That's what
president
he wanted to do.
about what my testimony would be. Do you know who Michael Cohen talked to?
And you
who was
just
close to
believe
the
all of
president
that.
about what the testimony would be? Have you ever heard of that before?
Not me.
Do you think it was somebody else? Have you ever heard
No.
that anybody knew what Michael Cohen was going to testify to before Congress?
Me? No.
Yeah.
Why would I know that? What are you
Because you're
talking
very
about?
close to the
No,
president and
but
you were there at the
Christopher-
campaign and you're part of the administration. Had you ever heard about that?
Right. And isn't that important here? Wouldn't all your
Very.
viewers love to watch me be frog marched because I colluded with Russians and
Not
I
me.
paid off women?
I would never
No
want to see
such
anything
thing.
bad happen to you.
No. No
I'm just
such
trying to know
things.
what you know.
But CNN's not on solid ground here for a very simple reason. You
President
promised people
didn't tell
for
the truth
over
about
a
what he
year
was trying
you were
to do
going to
with
show
Russia.
collusion. You failed to do that.
It's not the bar.
You promised people
It's not the bar.
up until 2016 that there
Not
was
the bar.
no way Donald Trump could win.
Not the bar. You have
were,
that.
you were
you want to
quoting
collect
from the
data
New York
on me.
Times, Upshot,
Find
and
me
other
telling
sources.
people-
92% chance of
Find
winning
me telling
Michigan for Hillary
people
Clinton. You
that
did
there's
not
collusion.
think this mattered.
Find me telling people there will be collusion. I tell people all the time, prepare yourself for disappointment if you think the Mueller probe is going to end the presidency. I don't see it. It doesn't mean that the truth doesn't matter.
Under your reading, so here's what I want to ask you. The president's been in office, I don't know
ask me
what,
things.
600,
I brought you here to
700
answer
days,
questions.
Three,
What's your
almost
question?
700 days. Look, there's my question. In all those days, really, before he was even elected, let's just say since he got elected and definitely since
Mm-hmm.
he's been president of the United States, do you know how just consistently and unapologetically and ruthlessly and unnecessarily, gratuitously negative you and your network have been toward the democratically elected president of the United States? You cover nothing positive.
Do you know how
you really
that's
give
not
very
true.
little coverage to the
you
economy.
know for a fact that that's
to
not true.
peacefulness.
I
Well,
had you on
he
this
invited
show
Democratic and
before
Republican
anybody
governors
else
in
did to
today.
talk about
Why
what you
are
were
we
doing with
talking about it?
opioids. I just went down to the border and did an
Great.
exclusive tour with CBP about their struggles to keep us safe down there. It's not true, but it's also immaterial.
Yeah, they are struggling.
It's also
and they
immaterial.
they can use some.
What I
they
want to
can use
ask
some
you
help.
is,
They
why
can use,
did
no,
the
it's not
president?
immaterial. No, they can use some help
Well,
on
if you want
border
to help,
security.
if you want to help
no, they can
immigration,
use
I'll let
some
you
help
get
on
me off
border
track for 1
security.
second. Stop talking about just a wall,
It's
because
not
you
off
know that
track.
CBP
It's important to this
doesn't
country.
just need a wall. And you're not helping them with their real challenges. The president has
need
made
border
it into
security,
a
though.
stunt.
We
He
are
lied about the
responding to what they have
caravan for
told us
political
they need.
opportunity, and now he's doing
He
nothing
didn't
to
lie
help
about the
with the real
caravan. You
systemic
called
problems.
it caravan.
That's
You
the
and one
truth.
of your other
That's the
anchors
truth.
called it caravanished. You called it caravanished. Did
it's
it
true.
vanish or did it make it up? Really?
It's true.
Did it? Those people
and
who
now
came
they're, and now they're
up to
sitting
Tijuana,
there.
Mexico.
You've got a citizen.
Really?
You've got a system that
Caravanished.
can't handle them. You won't give them more judges. You won't give them more capacity.
No, you do because Congress failed to act.
You won't cut a
and
deal.
This president
You say
has
you'll
been
shut
there
down the government
for
over
2
a
years.
wall, but you won't negotiate any of the points that matter more than that.
So, Christopher, this is
Political opportunity.
about border security, and you're going to let me speak now because I'm the guest, okay? You're going to be a little bit respectful towards your guest. This is about border security. The president has made clear his first and solemn duty in this country is to keep us all safe.
Mm-hmm.
That includes border security. He is asking for a little bit more money, and if you look at all the nonsense
Not
that
asking for a
Congress
little bit
has
more
funded
money.
over
He's
the
asking
years,
for a lot more
yes,
money,
he
and
is.
that's okay,
He's
but
looking
don't-
for a little.
don't mitigate
no,
what he's asking
He's
for.
asking for 1/50th of what the Council on Economic Advisors estimates the cost to our country in heroin misuse disorder. He's asking for a fraction of that for border
and
security.
they'll tell you that the
to
heroin's
keep
not being walked
heroin
across
and
the border
fentanyl
either.
out of here.
It comes through ports of
No,
entry,
but Christopher,
almost
listen.
exclusively, and under
It
tunnels,
comes-
way more than through foot traffic,
No,
and
not
you know
almost
it.
exclusively.
You're in charge of
That's
this.
ridiculous.
By
That's ridiculous.
percentage,
You
it
have people
dwarfs
on
foot
here-
traffic, and you know that. This is your bailiwick. I know it, but you know
No,
it too.
hold on. You want to talk about border security? You want to talk about border
No, I
security?
really want to know
wall,
why the president
fencing,
lied about
electronic
negotiating a deal
enhancements,
with Russia. That's what I
everything.
really want to know, but
He
you don't
didn't
want to
lie.
answer it.
No, he didn't lie. No,
Sure he
no.
did. He said there
I
was
wanna
no deal
talk to
going on,
American
and there
people
was. He
about border
signed a letter of
security.
intent. He even then said to cameras, I'll play you the sound.
You're just,
I'll play you the
just
sound.
being ridiculous.
Play the sound.
You
This
really
is what
are.
he said, and this
You're
is what he
being
said after.
ridiculous. I'm not going to listen to your sound.
You don't have to
I want to tell
listen. The
people about
audience can
border
listen.
security.
The audience can listen because it
and
makes
I want
a point.
and I want everybody to know. I want everybody to know about the 26 Democrats who voted for border security, who voted for the Secure
Should be a lot
Fences Act
more.
in 2006.
They should all vote
Those
for border
included,
security.
No.
They just don't want to
Those
fund
included, you know who
an
they were?
exorbitant
You know
new
who
price
voted for
tag
them?
for a wall that's not going to be built. That's
Senator Chuck Schumer voted for secure fences.
They should.
Senator Hillary
Everybody
Clinton,
should
Senator
be
Joe
for border
Biden,
security.
and Senator Barack Obama.
Everybody should
So
be
they're
for
not
border
voting for
security. It's
secure
just not a
fences here.
panacea to keeping us
Yeah,
safe, and you
they
know
should-
it.
No, that's not true. It would help.
It would help, but it's
that
not a
everybody who
panacea.
comes across
Why
the
does
border.
the president make it a single issue?
You
I'm going to
make it
shut down the
sound-
government for a
No,
wall.
he doesn't make it a single issue.
Sure he does. He
This
says, I'll
government,
shut
no,
down.
for border security.
Mel, play the sound of what
This
he said about the
president-
shutdown.
I will take the mantle of shutting down. And I'm going to shut it down for border
But we
security.
believe you.
So that's what he
Border
says.
security.
And then
Did
he
he say,
tweets.
"Well, Christopher,
then he
you're
tweets.
lying.
Democrats, don't
Facts
shut
never,
down.
Chris."
Don't shut down the government. He tweets. Don't do it.
Border
Which is it?
security.
Which is it? Are you a tough guy who wants to shut
Border
down the
security.
government
Border security.
over a wall?
Border security is national security. Border security is national security.
I
You just
know,
said
but
border
if you
security,
really
and you're
wanted to be
lying.
productive
you are
on the
lying
issue, you wouldn't
incontrovertibly
make
when
it a
you say
stunt,
wall
single
instead
issue
of border
topic.
security.
That's all. But look, I want to
It's
get
not a
back to
single
this.
issue.
I want to get back to
So the president
this.
today, no. The president today had the governors in,
Right.
Democratic and Republican governors who were just elected, 7 new Democratic governors.
Great.
And he had them into the cabinet room. You're like, great, yeah. Oh no, the governors. Oh God, she's going to talk about
Keep
policy
going. Use
again.
the
She's going to
time.
talk about the government working.
I know, but it's a little
And
bit of a
he
distraction
talked
for
to
what
them
I'm
about
asking.
how
But
we
go
can
ahead.
all work together. Okay, you know why?
Good. It should.
Because
He
for some
should work with
really
governors.
unusually odd reason,
He should
you're
work
not
with
looking at the
governors.
CNN polling, because the CNN polling doesn't say that Michael Cohen and David Pecker and yesterday's news and even Russia and all that. That's not top of the list in the CNN polling. Why do you ignore your own polls? Why do you ignore the will
The
of the people that CNN
midterms
pollsters
were a
ask what's most
clarion
important to
call
them?
for guardrails on this White House.
For what?
People
Is
want
that what
this
it was?
president checked. He
Really? Is that what
lies
they
with
ran
a
on?
reckless
'Cause I heard him
abandon
running
that
on
we've
Medicare
never
for
seen,
all.
and that's why I'm asking you these
I
questions.
heard the socialists.
Not because of criminal exposure.
I heard
He
them
lied
running
about the
on
deal.
Many different
He
things.
lied about the payments.
No, you just want to say
We
that.
have to find out if he's telling
you
the
just wanna say
truth
that he did
about
not.
what he knew about different aspects of Russian interference.
How do you know?
The truth is what
Excuse me, I'm not
matters.
going to allow you to say the president that, and I'm not going to allow you to cast the truth according to what you want it to be and based on a couple of people in an indictment. I'm going to, or in a statement. I'm going to allow you to wait until you read the reports, until you read the answers that the president has given under the written answers that he's provided. But you are playing wishful thinking here. You did it. You all did it on the Kavanaugh thing. You heard from one side, and literally you had journalists acting like activists on your network, as did other people. They weren't being journalists. They were being activists. They said, oh, my God, there's nothing Brett Kavanaugh can say. This is so
Why are we
credible.
talking
This
about
is
that
so-"
now?
And then he got to speak.
See, like you like to
because you
spray it
love-
around
no,
to
you
this
love
big
to take one
conspiracy
side.
theory of everything being.
No.
Brett Kavanaugh, the
You love to-
justice, has
No,
nothing to
you-
do with this discussion. Don't add him
He's
to
a justice
this.
on the Supreme Court. Oh, he has everything to do with it.
He has
because
nothing
what
to
you
do with
do
it.
is
He
you
has
want to be an
nothing to do
activist
with
and
it.
not a journalist.
Is he the reason that the president lied
everything
about
to
trying
do
to
with
negotiate
it
a deal in Russia?
because-
Is he the
because
reason
it's
that
a
the president
great
lied
example
about
of how
paying
you
people off to
lie.
help his campaign?
It's a great example of how you
What am I
lie
lying about?
nightly, you and your colleagues. You have people on lying.
You said I shouldn't call
about
you a
this, that,
liar.
and
You've
the
called
other,
me a
and in
liar
the
many
end-
times. You see the difference in our tactics?
No,
Because I treat you with respect.
No.
I
What
let you
what
make
I
your
think
points.
you should
I
engage in
rebut
is
them.
wishful thinking.
My wishful
You have
thinking
based-
is that I
you have
didn't have to
based
cover any
tonight-
of this. That I didn't have to worry about a president
said- no,
being
okay,
fact-checked
great.
every
Let's cover the
time
things
he
I
opens
discussed
his
with the
mouth on a
president today.
material issue. Okay?
Let's take a random day in the White House and talk about it. Let me talk about everything that went on today.
No, I don't want to hear
substantively at
about
the White
everything
House.
that went
You're
on.
not interested in that.
No,
You've
I'm
never
not.
Exactly.
I'm
You
not.
don't
I'm not
wanna
worried
know.
about your
You don't
daily
wanna know. You wanna say
calendar.
the
I'm worried about the
president's
things that
viewing-
matter. I'm worried about the president saying
not my
today
calendar.
GM is
You
getting
don't
rid
need
of
to be
these jobs,
so- you don't
but
need
those
to
jobs will
so
be absorbed in
condescending
2
if
minutes.
Not sexist. It's not about my daily calendar.
What? How's that
It's
sexist?
about what? It's about all the things that happen
I have a
today.
daily calendar.
It is my daily calendar. What does that mean exactly?
It means I
Well,
don't care about everything that
we
happened at the
work on
White House
policy
today.
At the White House.
It
Well,
means
you
I don't
should
care about everything
because
that
there are
happened
things
at the White
happening
House.
that affect people.
No, this is a
Really?
focus show.
Workforce
I'm focusing on the
development, opportunity
contradictions
zones. You don't care
in the
about
president's
opportunity
case.
zones? No.
I care
no,
about
you don't
the
want him to succeed,
contradictions
which
in
means
the
you don't want the
president's
country
case.
to succeed.
Oh, Kellyanne, say that again.
I care
want to
very
make sure the
much
audience
that
hears
you're
that.
very.
You want my audience to
they
believe
heard
that
it.
I don't want the country to succeed.
No, not your audience.
That's
your
what you
audience
think.
is your audience.
Imagine
No,
if I said
you
something
don't want
like
the
that to
president
you.
to succeed, or else you would be telling your audience.
Imagine if I said something
you're
like that to you.
sitting here.
Imagine
You're
if I
sitting
said
here
something
telling.
like that.
You're sitting. Oh, stop.
Yeah,
Every
right?
time.
Because when you say it, it's
Christopher,
okay.
you ask a White
can
House
be as
guest to
cheap,
come on,
you can be as
and you don't-
base, you can be as insulting as you want, and it's
I'm
okay.
not being cheap or base.
Really? You
No, I'm
call
not
me a
being
liar?
insulting. I'm
You
saying
say that
to
I don't
you-
want the country to succeed?
No,
You say I'm out to
I
get
don't
the
think
president?
That you're a liar.
Some would argue that you're
Yes,
accusing
that
me
is
of
true.
treason, by the way. Just so you
No,
know.
I
I know you
wouldn't
guys
use that word.
throw
That's
stuff
just
around
silly.
down there because you think it
I know
helps
you're
you in
going
the
to go
moment.
fight with people who have 40 followers on Twitter later about that.
I
but
give
nobody
people
accused you of
respect
treason,
regardless
as far
of their
as I can
number of
tell.
followers. All right? I give people respect
argue with
regardless
you
of their
argue
number
with
of
a lot
followers.
of people
Because I'm here to
unnecessarily.
engage. I'm not
Twitter's
here
a
to
waste
duck.
of time for
I'm
lots
not
of
here to
people.
smear people, and I'm not here to insult my way out of a question. That's not me.
That's not true. You insulted the President of the United States tonight,
When?
and I have to tell
When?
you, I'm one of
When?
many millions and millions of Americans who are fed up with it.
When?
I'm fed up
6
with you
in 10
not
Americans
covering all
say
the good
that this is a
happening in
serious
this
matter
country.
that has to be investigated. You just got trounced in the midterm elections in the popular vote because people
And
want
guess
this
what?
White House checked.
You're not investigated. You're not the investigator, just so you know.
Of course we are. We're
It will
working
be
off the facts
investigated by
that we
people who are
get,
in
and when
charge
we
of
can
this.
add to the story, we do. That's why I broke that tape. I knew that it was going to matter that the president was lying about this.
Hey, Christopher, why don't you tell everybody? Hey, Christopher, the
Yes.
president said just today, I quote, I never directed Michael Cohen.
He doesn't have to
commit a
have
crime.
directed
Why
the
is that
action
not
to
a
be
fact
exposed
you?
to liability
No,
or
I'm
responsibility.
asking you. I'm asking you why that's not a fact to you. Why do you choose what
The
are facts?
president saying
is that's
if
what
it
you're
can be
doing here.
corroborated, it is a fact. A fact needs to be corroborated.
But hold on.
And
hold on,
because
but what you're
frankly
relying
and
upon, which is not-
unfortunately, he lies a lot. That's why, just like Michael Cohen,
He's doing a great
his credibility is suspect.
He's doing a great job for this country. It may not matter to you that people not in your position, God bless you, have more money in their pockets, that they feel that the manufacturing is back,
take a look
and
at my
mining
salt
is back,
taxes.
and construction is back. All these industries.
Take a look at my salt taxes
all
here in
these
New York and
industries
tell
that
me
were
that the
flat
tax
on
cut
their
helped
back.
me.
All these industries. Oh, poor you.
No, not poor
Christopher,
me, but you're just
pay a little
not
bit more in
being you're not
taxes.
being
I'm sure
accurate.
People really feel badly
That's all.
for you.
No, I don't feel badly for me. I'm
here's
doing
what's
well,
accurate.
thank God. The
Here's what's
president is
accurate.
set up to help people
I talk to
almost
people every day.
exclusively in my position. He's all about people who are making a lot of
I talk to people
money.
every day who aren't you, who are in manufacturing or construction
The
and
people
mining.
he told today are going to get jobs back in Ohio in 2 minutes like that?
Yeah.
Is that the truth?
Opportunity
Those GM
zones.
jobs are
this
gonna
is
get picked up in 2 minutes like that?
Perkins grants that are out there now that languished for 10 years. He's done so much good for this country, and I hope that you'll hold
I'm not saying that he
the
hasn't done
Democrats
good things for the
accountable when
country.
They say we want to work with him on infrastructure. We want to work with
Good.
him on
It
prison reform.
should
We want to
happen.
work with him on. They want to work on so many
Let
things.
me ask
I
you
hope
one
that's-
more
I hope that's
thing.
true, but you don't focus on that.
Let me ask you one more
don't
thing.
focus on that.
Because I
You're not
am
being
doing
honest to the American
investigative
people by
reporting
excluding
on what's
information
happening
from
with
them.
this probe. That's the specific issue. When you wanted to talk about opioids, I brought you on.
State
We
things
talked
as
about
facts
only
that
that.
you can't possibly.
Now,
Well,
I want to ask
for
you
a segment,
something.
for a half a segment, but and
It's
thank
longer
you for
than
that.
you've had on any other
But
show. By
Christopher,
the way, to this day, longer than you've had
that's
on
not
any
true.
other show.
That's just not true.
Oh, really? For
Actually,
20
that
minutes
is
we
just
sat.
not true.
Really?
And by the way,
What show?
we didn't talk about opioids for 20 minutes.
What
But
show?
listen
Yeah,
to
we
me.
did. What show?
Christopher, it doesn't really matter who gives me time on opioids. What matters is that because of this president, we now have the single most comprehensive law on any drug crisis
And
in our
that's a
nation's
good
history. And
thing.
let me tell you, it passed with every Democratic
That's a
vote in
good
the
thing.
House and the Senate. Let me repeat that. Every
It's a
Democrat voted
good
for
thing.
the bill that Donald Trump signed into law, but it's not relevant to you. You just
I
want to
just
talk
said
about
it's
the
a
same
good
stuff
thing. I had you
hour
on my
after
show to
hour,
discuss
day
it.
after
Kellyanne, stop
day.
being so abusive of reality.
Oh
Let
my
me ask
God,
you
you're
something.
just not telling people.
Let
you're
me
not
ask.
telling
I
people.
had you on the show to discuss it.
What's going on?
The facts betray
Okay,
your own
great.
reality.
That's one thing we work on.
I want to ask you something.
You're being dismissive of people.
I'm not
who
being
are carefully
dismissive of
grateful
anything.
that
I
they
try
have
to
jobs
play
now.
through the
You are,
distractions so
you're
I can
being
get to some
dismissive.
substance. Listen, this
you're
alleged
being
spy story, I want to ask
dismissive.
you
I'm here
something
for
about
them.
it. I want to ask you something. This Butina, the alleged spy, there is this real weird thing that happened at one of the then candidate, not yet president's, rallies, press conferences, where he called on her, I think second, not first. It was reported it was first. I don't think he called on her first. But he called on her, and she asked a question about sanctions. Do you know anything about why he would have called on this person to ask a question about sanctions?
I know zero, and I know zero about her. I don't believe I've ever met her. If I have, I certainly don't remember. And I'm not sure he's so familiar with her either, because we were watching the news today. And
why did he call
no,
on her?
I have no idea why. When was that, allegedly?
It was like at the beginning of the campaign.
Okay, but again,
hold on,
there you are.
Hold on, no, they're telling me.
know.
July 11th, 2015. It was a long time ago. But why would he call on her?
For God's sake. I know, and then you're back to August 2015. Christopher, focus on the winning part of the campaign where none of you thought he can win.
She
let alone
pleaded
that he would
guilty
have
to being a
pay off
Russian
this one
spy,
or
and
ask
she
that
asked a question to the president about sanctions. Meanwhile, she was like working the NRA. I don't even know why she asked about sanctions.
But if you want to talk that I know nothing about, but let me tell you something.
All right, well, I'm
If you
just
want to
asking
talk about
you.
Russian
I accept your
sanctions,
answer.
You should talk about Russian sanctions. This president has sanctioned many different Russians and expelled some from this country.
Wasn't happy about it.
When he has felt...
He wasn't.
That's not true.
Congress told him to do it. He didn't want to do it. He fought it.
I love when the reporters say, here's his mood, here's what he's thinking
I never say
today.
that.
Like, where do you
I don't have
work?
any
You don't
reporting
work
on his
anywhere.
mood. It's
You come
irrelevant
to
to me.
Washington a couple times a year. You don't work in the West Wing. You don't work in the White House.
I don't. That is true.
It's always sources familiar, a former official.
My job is to speak
and
truth to power. My job is to test the White House. That's my job.
No, your job is to, but come on. You can test me, but you have to be honest about the way you do it.
I really think I am. I think I'm pretty transparent.
And you're assigning, and you're, yes, I can't deny that. You are very transparent, but you look at that as
You mean that as a pejorative, but I mean it in terms, I know you mean it as an insult. But what I'm saying is, I'm very straightforward. I don't take shots at you or the president. I don't need to.
Transparent.
I'm just talking to you about what
You took a shot at the president tonight. You called him a slur. I'm not going to repeat.
Slur? What slur if I called him?
Yes.
Never. Literally,
You're saying he's not telling the
never.
truth.
He
Yes,
lies a lot.
That's a slur.
That's a reality.
That's a slur.
It's not a slur.
Today he said, true or false, that today he said he never directed Michael Cohen.
I am not going to take the president only at his word when he has a record of lying about these things. He said he didn't know about the Stormy Daniels.
The way
he said that the guy was just a PR agent. Then he says he's his lawyer. Then he says nothing happened. Then we have the tape with his voice on it. I mean, the facts are overwhelming. They really are. I'm not saying it exposes him to anything because he's a sitting president. But that's why I asked.
Oh, thank you. That took you 25 minutes. It doesn't expose him to anything, does it now?
Well, look.
What are you trying to do?
Look,
As the president said today,
it's not the law of the
embarrass him
land,
and
but it
harass
is the
him.
guidance of the DOJ, and until it changes, I don't know how they could indict him.
No. But I'm just asking you. I'm asking you what relevance all of this has to the topic.
Telling the truth to the American people?
Trying to do right.
Lying about doing deals with Russia?
You're not telling the truth.
That may have involved banks that were under sanctions at the same time you're getting rid of sanctions? At the same time you're at a convention taking it easy on Russia?
Oh, come on.
I mean, this is really coincidental things that
for a loss
need
you never saw
answers.
coming, for a president you never wanted elected, and for a president that you won't cover fairly.
It has nothing to do with political feelings, just facts. That's a distraction. I'll tell you what I own.
It does, though.
I appreciate you coming on.
It has a lot to do with politics and feelings.
If you want it to be, you
interrupted
can
your
say
guests.
that.
You don't do that with all your guests.
I interrupt everybody all the time. Everybody yells at me about it because I can't let it be a spin.
You had
control.
you had the wonderful head of the CPB, and you did not interrupt. And I was glad that you
He was
didn't,
not
because
spinning me.
America was informed.
He was not spinning me. He was speaking
truth. And when you talk
truth.
about the CPB, you should ask all those underinformed people who come on, ill-informed people who come on and say, we need to abolish ICE. We need to not have border security. You were there.
Nobody says we don't need border security.
You see how brave the men and women
Nobody
of
says
CPB
they want open
are.
borders, not elected officials who are
They're voting
relevant.
against it.
No,
they voted for
not
secure fences.
Anybody comes on my show and says that they're for open borders or they're not for border security, they will get tested, and they'll get tested heavily because that's absurd. But I haven't come across it once.
The Democrats have to make a decision. They're for open border.
We'll
they're
see.
for keeping the borders open, or they're for keeping the government open.
I don't think that's a fair assessment, but that's an argument for them to make.
Congress has failed to ask. Yes, it is. Congress has failed to act for years on immigration.
They passed a bill that the Republicans wouldn't let come to a vote on exactly these issues. And they offered the president a deal that he walked away from when the Republicans told him that he needed to ask for more. So it's a little bit more complex than that.
And may I just tell you respectfully, you are irresponsible. You are irresponsible night after night, saying what you say about the president with absolutely no facts and no proof.
And
it's
I
wishful
disagree.
thinking. You're playing to the audience or others. And well, but you have to be fair. You can't just say this one's telling the truth, that one's not, based on your own based on your own predisposition.
Listen,
you're wishful thinking.
Kellyanne,
you're not being fair, and you're not gaining an audience of people who don't want to hear that.
You're welcome to make it, but let me tell you something. The team that works on this show, that gives me the information we use every night, works their ass off to make sure they get things right on a regular basis.
No question.
And the success of the show is a function of their efforts. We're not selecting and curating. We have people on from both sides every night. We test both sides. We're fair. You may not like the testing. That's different than it being unfair. But I appreciate you coming on the show, and I wish you the best for Christmas. No, that's not true. It's not unfair. Go look at your own CNN polling and see if you're covering what Americans are telling you. 6 out of 10 say this is a serious matter that must be investigated.
You got it.
6 out of 10.
Yeah, that's one poll number. They also say the economy is most important to them and healthcare. So
of course they are.
That too.
Of course they are. That's why they voted Democrat so heavily, because of what happened to healthcare. We got to go. You can come back to talk about health care. You won 2 seats. You should have won 5.
I get the last word because I'm your guest.
Go ahead. Take it.
The four senators who voted against Brett Kavanaugh all lost in Indiana, in Missouri, in North Dakota, and in Florida. Bill Nelson had won his previous election by 1.1 million votes, and he lost his time.
Pretty close race.
And the Democratic senator from pretty close race. He won by 1 million votes the time before. People didn't want him anymore.
I'm saying Nelson versus Scott was a pretty close race.
They want people who aren't
I gave you the last word.
Stale and sclerotic in their thinking. Thanks. God bless. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you as well. All right. Kellyanne Conway brings the heat. No question about it. Let's bring in some legal minds to assess what was helpful and not to the president's case. Next. And Robert Ray. Welcome to both of you. Mr. Ray, it's good to have you on.
Thank you, Chris.
Neil, you too, but I haven't seen Ray in a little while. All right, let's just clear something up here. Let's put the noise to the side. 2 quick points, and you guys tell me if I have it wrong. One, what we learned from the John Edwards decision is, according to the judge, if one of the reasons that you're making a payment is to help your campaign, that's enough. It doesn't have to be the only reason. There could be various reasons. And secondly, the president didn't need to direct the action to be exposed to that same action. I'm not saying that he's going to be exposed to criminal liability. Again, as I said to Kellyanne, I don't know how that happens as a practicality. But Neil, do I have those 2 basic assessments right?
Yeah, you do. And, just sitting here and watching that remarkable time, I have the most respect for Kellyanne Conway. I really do. I think she is the president.
How about me? See the beating I took in there? All those insults?
Well, she is the president's best defender. And
100%.
What you heard there about Edwards and all of this stuff was gobbledygook. I mean, bait and witch is not working. It was, oh, look at this mirror, look at this iPhone, look at my pen. But the central question, as you're isolating, is, did the president lie about these payments? There was no question that he did. In April of 2018, he was asked, quote, Mr. President, did you know about the $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels? Answer, no. So now they've switched to this like Edwards kind of reasoning.
Right.
But, and Kellyanne Conway was talking about how campaign experts agree with her. That's preposterous.
But even if so, Neil, and let me just bounce this over to Mr. Ray. In full disclosure, I've leaned on you plenty during this process for your acumen, Councilor Ray, and it's good to have you here once again. I'm not making this about whether or not the president is guilty of a crime. Neil makes very compelling arguments on that regard. I'm just talking about the lying. The idea that we don't know that the president wasn't telling the truth about what he knew and what his role was with his payments is absurd. I'm not saying that makes him guilty of a crime. I'm not saying any of it is a crime. I'm just saying the idea that he was telling the truth about what he knew and when is obviously untrue. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, but what does that have to do with whether or not there's an impeachable offense, first, and second, whether or not he was, as many people have tried to suggest, including on CNN and elsewhere, that he's essentially a co-conspirator in connection with a campaign finance violation. And I think there's a long distance between what Michael Cohen pleaded guilty to and whether or not the President of the United States was involved and knew that what was being done was an illegal corporate campaign contribution in kind of payments to Stormy Daniels and others in order to keep them silent, in order to influence an election. And, look, I think we just, kind of need to keep track of the the forest from the trees, that is an important issue. And I do think that, it's important to note that the president has already suggested in all of that, look, I hired a lawyer. I am not a lawyer myself. My lawyer, obviously, I assumed, was acting appropriately, provided me with legal advice. And until it's suggested otherwise, that, there was somehow something improper here, I think, the president has a substantial defense to any suggestion.
A criminal defense.
Well, sure. I mean, look,
right,
but look, Chris, it's not just a criminal offense, but it's also in connection with any notion that there might be an impeachable offense here, which I think is ridiculous.
All right, well, let's bring Neil in on this.
Time will tell. Yeah.
The standard, look, impeachable is very different. Impeachable is whatever the politicians feel it is.
Sure.
High crime or misdemeanor is an amorphous standard. President Ford said it best. It's whatever Congress thinks it is. And lying can get you in trouble, right? Nixon told us that famously, foretelling his own demise. Bill Clinton, same deal. This president,
but it's got to be lying under oath, or it's got to be lying to a federal agent. There's no suggestion that the president.
And I don't know what the president. That's why I always test his veracity, because I don't know what he put in those answers. And even though he had good lawyers,
I don't know either. But I mean, look,
maybe he said things that he thought would be matched by these other men.
You can speculate until the the cows come home about
we know
what.
He lies. We know he lies a lot. We know he lied about this transaction.
That's not the same thing as saying that somebody lies under oath. Okay,
so
and that's the difference.
All right, let Neil get in.
Look, a lot of people got in trouble here because Chris, as you well know, in politics, loyalty is a virtue beyond all others. Where people get into trouble, particularly underlings, and I've seen this in the Nixon administration, in the Clinton administration, and now the Trump administration, is when, loyalty is one thing, but when you then make statements either under oath or to federal agents, spouting the party line, and it turns out not to be true, and it can be proved that what you said was false, that's a problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a lot of that around this president.
Can I say something here?
But he's not the first president or the first administration who's been through this.
That's true. We've just never seen this much of it, or a president who abuses the truth the way he does.
I don't know about that.
So look, I think Ray is on the same thing of mirrors and missing the issue. The issue is not lying under oath or something like that. It's lying to the American people, and a very serious felony. And you just heard Kellyanne Conway say, election experts agree this wasn't a felony and stuff like that. Absolutely preposterous. Tomorrow I have an op-ed coming out in the Washington Post. Let me finish.
Well, fine,
tomorrow I have an editorial coming out in the Washington Post with the Republican former chair of the FEC, the Federal Election Commission, saying this is a very serious violation. The Edwards precedent doesn't apply, and the like. Now, Mr. Ray is right. The president has denied this today. He said he's acting at the advice of counsel. This is the same guy who lied to us in April. I have no idea why we should believe him now. Look, the criminal process, I suspect, will unfold. I think the impeachment process is going to unfold, and time will tell what will happen.
And remember,
but if I
Michael
were a
Cohen
lawyer,
is believed by
no way I would
prosecutors
put
because
Trump
of what they
on the
could
stand
corroborate.
right now.
I'm just saying, Robert, that's an important point here. Kellyanne dismissed Cohen by saying, well, he's lied before. All right, fair enough. But he had his statements in this regard corroborated by the prosecutors, as with the Mueller probe and what he told them about Russia. They said, with respect to this, from the second meeting on, he's told the truth. And the president needs to show the same kind of corroboration to be believed. He can't be just believed as a one-off. He lies too much. And unfortunately, that's a reality. Last word to you. Go ahead.
What happened to the presumption of innocence? Didn't we go through this?
I'm not saying he's guilty of something. I'm saying he's lying.
Didn't we go through? Well, okay, that's fine. It's nice that you say, and God knows. That doesn't mean that that doesn't make it so.
I have a tape with his voice on it.
It doesn't make
going
it so.
through the transaction.
No,
David Pecker says he was at the meeting.
No,
Cohen says he knew all about it.
Stop. Hold on a second. First of all, with regard to a campaign finance violation, you're talking about something that, even if what you say is true, if the president had done this directly, there was nothing illegal about it. There's nothing illegal.
So then why lie about it? Why lie about it? Why hide it from the American people? During an election. 10 days before election, this may have been the most significant campaign contribution in history.
It doesn't change the fact.
From the people.
It doesn't change the fact that you're trying to criminalize something that if the president had done it directly, it wouldn't have been illegal. Right.
I'm just saying,
and that's what transparent.
The only
campaign
thing, and the
finance law is
president's,
all
by the
about
way, the
transparency.
president's
He
right
broke it.
about this.
Simple.
If he had done it, the only thing that would be illegal about it is arguably a civil violation, and that
It
is
doesn't
a
excuse
failure to
the
report.
lying.
Failure to report
This
an
is just
expenditure.
mirrors. Again,
No, it's not mirrors.
No, look, but mirrors are not,
it's,
Robert.
It's the Federal
Robert and
Election
Neil,
Campaign
I accept
Act.
the legal debate, and we'll see how that plays out.
Sure.
It's never been my concern. The lying is my concern. And even if it's not a crime, I don't get why he lied about it. And I don't think that that's a slur.
Chris,
I don't think that that's
this
an
is the
opinion.
first time
It's a
you've
fact.
ever. This is the first time you've ever seen a politician lie.
Irrelevant.
Well, sure, it's
Irrelevant.
irrelevant. The point you're trying to make is trying to equate the fact that lying is the equivalent of making a false statement under oath or perjury, which it's not. Is there any evidence that the president has perjured himself or made a false statement under oath?
Not
No.
that I know of.
Right.
All
So there we are.
I'm with you. I'm just saying I'm
Right.
tracking the line because I think it matters, and that's what I think is going to give
I'm
him
not
the most
saying,
exposure.
look, Chris,
That's all. But I hear you, Robert. I gotta go.
I'm not saying that it doesn't matter.
Right.
I'm saying we're talking about stuff because the issue has been raised about whether or not these are high crimes and
I
misdemeanors
understand.
warranting impeachment.
And I think that if you see a pattern of lying on things that matter to the American people, it could be political exposure. We'll see. Neil, Robert, you guys are better than I am, and I appreciate having you on the show.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks to you both.
Yep. Be well.
The president's loyalists are throwing out a whole new set of legal arguments to try to defend him. And they may be good, and they may not. But it doesn't escape the accountability for telling the truth to you. Okay? We're going to get more into this on the political side right after this. For me, it's not about the criminality. It's about telling the truth to the American people. And I don't know why that just because this may not be a crime, let's say, these payments to these women, let's assume it's not a crime. Why is lying about it okay?
Look, Chris, I mean, the president said he did not have anything to do with it. How do you know that he is lying?
I have his
You don't
voice
know
on tape.
that.
I have his
I mean-
voice on tape saying that he knows about it and directing the action.
Is it his voice on tape?
Yep.
Okay, well, look, you know, I don't know what goes on with the president and his legal team. There are many meetings that go on in a campaign in this administration that we don't have all the information for. But the problem here is that the one-sidedness of what CNN is trying to do, go after this president, and all the mainstream media, it's not just CNN. You are not talking about Hillary Clinton and the campaign
Because it has
finance.
nothing to do with this.
Wait, no, I want to make this clear. Have you ever asked Hillary Clinton if she directed money to pay for the fake Russian dossier? Have you ever asked
We don't
her
need
that
to.
question?
We know for a fact that she did. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? It's a fact,
Exactly.
just like the fact that this
Right, and you
president
know,
knew that these women were being paid. He was at the meeting setting up the transaction, and he
Listen,
lied
this-
about it. Let me bring in Van.
This was a personal transaction that had happened before he
Whether
ever
it
ran
were
for.
personal or not, he lied about it. That shouldn't be okay for people who are cultural conservatives, because that used to be one of your paramount virtues when you went at Bill Clinton. The guy's a liar. He's
You're
got bad
acting like-
character. And
this
now
is
you're
the
saying
thing.
that lying doesn't matter. But let me
No,
bring
I'm
in
not.
Van.
Wait a second. No, I'm not. Do not say that I'm saying that, Chris, because I am not. I think it's important to tell the truth.
All right,
and
well,
the
he's
truth
not.
will set you free. But this is the thing. I didn't elect Donald Trump to be my pastor or my preacher or my moral
president doesn't
guide
have
in
to
the
tell the
world.
truth.
I elected
Van.
him because he's a great businessman, and I wanted him
great
to get this
businessman.
country back on track.
Great businessman.
He has a record to prove it.
He does not have a record to prove he's a great
Chris,
businessman.
do you ever
Van,
talk about promises made, promises kept, and all the things he's done? Your
Yeah, I
viewers
do.
don't ever hear about it.
I do. That's not true. But look,
Yeah,
Van,
It is true.
Van, come on in on this.
What I think what we're seeing is a great political party. I'm a Democrat, left side of Pluto, proud of it. But there's a Republican Party that I remember that used to get on my dadgum nerves, preaching and moralizing to everybody, and and telling us that we had a President Bill Clinton who was hurting children and who was hurting the country. And those very same people are the same ones who are out here now spinning and spinning and spinning. And this is why ordinary, regular people just look at all this political stuff and they throw their hands up. It is bad for the country. It's not just bad for the country for the president to do this, but the Republican Party should be consistent. and should say much more forthrightly that it does matter what the president does. It matters what the principal of your high school does. It matters what the mayor of your town does. The presidency matters. His moral character matters, and he is failing us right now. And it takes nothing away from your party to say that. It makes your party stronger when you say that. I wish you'd say it more.
And it doesn't make him a criminal, by the way.
It
doesn't make him exposed to this FEC crime, not necessarily, but the truth matters. That's all I'm saying, Amy.
I want to make something clear that, look, it is an insult to our intelligence, to the American people's intelligence, to think that we didn't know that this kind of stuff went on. I mean, remember, the Democrats, the road to get Donald Trump. First it was treason with Michael Flynn. Then it's collusion. Now we're down to campaign finance. I mean, it's desperation. It reeks of desperation. What the American people want is for Washington to work for us.
It's not Democrats. I'm sorry, Amy. It's not Democrats doing this. This is prosecutors, line staff, working stiff prosecutors who are bringing this stuff forward, and Democrats are talking about it, and Republicans are scared of it. But don't make this part political. Don't make this part political.
You won't own it either.
But the thing of it is, why don't we get a special prosecutor to look into the fake Russian dossier and the campaign finance violations that went on there, and go after Hillary Clinton? They didn't see it as anything
worth investigating. They did this. This is all a distraction. Right. But look, Amy, your voice is always welcome. Van,
thank you, Chris.
You're
going to have me back to talk about Ivanka's work she's doing on human trafficking to stop it. I mean, let's talk about that.
Listen, I'm open to all policy discussions. We'll talk about it. Email me. Amy, thank you. Van, appreciate it. That's all for us tonight. I don't want to give the show to Don late. CNN Tonight starts right now.
Oh, my God. Chris, do you know?
Yeah,
let's talk about this.
I was anticipating this afternoon.
Why?
I'll tell you why. I believe in exposing what the White House wants the American people to believe. I believe in testing it, and I believe when you do that with their best defender, that's what Kellyanne is, no question about it. She runs over interviewers all the time. And she does it with cleverness, she does it with information, she does it with tactics, and she can also do it with personal invective when it suits her. She used all of them on me tonight. But it exposes the reality that they cannot explain away the lies of this president. Maybe it's criminal, maybe it isn't. Maybe it matters, the Mueller probe to the presidency, maybe it doesn't. But the lying has to matter. Yeah. And I lay it out, example after example of what it is. And I keep her on task about it the best I can. And to the extent that she varies, to the extent that she redirects, it's all evidence of what they want to avoid. And I think it's instructive to the American people.
Okay. And you know I don't want to beat you up, right? Because this is what we talked about. No, I don't want to beat you up.
I know you don't think she should be on TV. I don't believe in silencing the other side.
It's not silencing the other side. It is not a right for someone to come on CNN and lie and deflect. This was a defective,
people do it all the time,
dismissive and histrionic display of non-answers.
But people do that all the time.
Please. At a time when the American people need to be reassured that we are in good hands, when all of the evidence shows that the president is lying to the American people, what Kellyanne Conway does and what the apologists do, how do I say this nicely? I don't want to be rude. They take up your time, our time, on national television when we could be learning something that's important to us.
Yeah, but Don, come on. Let's be honest about what the programming is. You have a bunch of voices on every night. You think people learn from that?
Hang on. This is not about left. People think this is about ideology. If Kellyanne Conway wanted to come on and the apologists want to come on and they want to talk to you about policy, I think that's a completely different thing. But what they're coming on to do is distract you, distract the American people. Chris, I learned nothing from that. She told me nothing about the...
I think you learned that they don't have good answers to these questions.
We learned nothing about why the president lied. We learned maybe that she had no answer. Then she deflected.
They don't have any answer for any of them.
And then she comes on, and instead of answers, she wants to hit you, which really ticks me off.
I think that shows something
because you're allowing her to come on. You're giving her a platform, which is a privilege. Okay, so and I think that's great. Okay, so I think you're allowing her to come on, but then she doesn't respect you or the platform. She hits you personally. She
But
hits
that's
CNN
on her,
personally,
Don.
and none of it's true at all. I would
that's
rather
on
have
her.
someone come on who can explain to the American people with a sense of reality and based in some sort of fact and reality about what's going on. Sorry, go on.
No. Listen, I hear what you're saying. I hear it all the time. My pushback is, to the left, nobody's acceptable. They don't want anybody from the right on.
True.
A senator,
Absolutely.
congressman, any
Absolutely.
pundit, anybody. They don't even want the president on. I don't believe any of them. I don't want them on. I don't believe in that. I think you got to keep an open mind. I think you hone your own arguments by hearing the other side. And I'll tell you something, that this is the best they have to put out for the president of the United States. It tells you a lot. Insulting me, that is like, to me, that is like ice cream. Because it proves you've run out of insights and arguments. All you've got is cheap shots. And I think it reveals something to people. And I think it's an important part of the dialogue. Now, look, do I wish it could be different and more constructive? Sure. That's why I have a Robert Ray on as well. I have other people on. I'm not going to close off the other side, though, Don. And if that's who they want to put out, that's who the people
But
get.
Chris, you keep saying it's the other side. That's what and maybe for you, you feel that way. This is not about the other side. People who are conservative have brains. They understand what's right and what's wrong. They
A lot of people
understand
believe what she
fact
believes.
from alternative facts.
I know, but a lot of people believe what she
that's
believes.
not ideology. A lot of people, listen, honestly, a lot of people believed in the whole Kool-Aid thing, if you know what I'm talking about. And
Right, but a lot of
look
people
where
believe
got
that the
people.
president wasn't lying. Look, you just had Robert Ray
How
here
can
saying you don't know for
believe-
sure. That guy's a genius, and he's a real rock-ribbed conservative.
Okay, Chris.
So you've got to have the conversation.
If I told you the president wasn't lying about knowing about payments, and then you show me a video
Right.
of you on your show when you first started the show, right? Breaking the news and playing the recording of the president talking to Michael Cohen about payments.
Right.
Okay, so he's not lying? That's not a lie?
Right. So then they say, okay, so you heard that he had knowledge of it, but what he said was he didn't know anything about the actual payment, and the actual payment isn't discussed.
He said
and you've
we
never
pay it
heard
in
him
cash.
direct Michael Cohen. See, so there's nuance, and you've got to attack that part
He
of it.
said he
and be
didn't know
instructive
about it. He said he didn't know about it.
I understand
And
that.
then he said, talk to my attorney. If someone came on to, here's the thing. If someone said, well, we're going to have a debate about whether cigarettes cause cancer, you would say, why do we need a debate about that?
True.
Okay, so then why do we need a debate about
But it
what
took us
facts
years
are?
to get there, Don. It took us years to get there
What,
in a
didn't we
huge trial.
learn?
It took us years to get there in a huge trial.
But
and
my
see,
question
what
is,
people are saying
would you
now is we
waste
don't
your,
want that process.
but would you waste your time with people who come on to argue that cigarettes don't cause cancer?
I don't think we have that kind of consensus in this country on these fundamental questions
on
about the president's
a
mendacity.
video. You play the video.
I know, but it leaves
Or the
room.
audio.
It leaves room. Yeah, the audio with their voices. People get it. But look, all I'm saying is I hear you and I respect the thing. That's why I don't do panels on the show. I don't want a panoply of heads giving me their opinions on things. I want people who are players, and I want to test them. That's what Cuomo Primetime's all about. That's the only reason I left the morning. I didn't come here, to do more of what I was doing in the morning. So I get it. I get it. I'm saying that's their best. She is their best on this. That's why they sent her out to come after me. And I want the American people to see what the president considers his best defense. And they saw it.
Okay, so then what do you think they got?
I think they saw that she has a hard time justifying what the president has said, that she tries to use cleverness in place of certainly concision, but also having real arguments and real facts. They're not on her side. And that if you test this White House, you immediately become a target of it. And that's really important for people to see. You cannot watch an interview like that. You'll say I interrupt. I interrupt everybody. But I'm interrupting for a reason. I'm never personal. I'm never insulting.
Mm-hmm.
I always stick to what I know and what I can show.
But she
They
was.
don't.
I know you guys know each other.
And that's
But
another
I think,
thing.
but she is. It gets personal to her because she doesn't have an answer she wants to
That's
distract.
the point.
And that's how she
people
distracts you.
get to see it. And I'll tell you what will happen on the radio show tomorrow, when I'm walking the dogs, when I'm on the, people are going to say, boy, she really came at you. You really kept your cool because she wasn't making good points. That's the point of the interview. If she makes good points, she makes good points. If she, and sometimes she does. Sometimes she finds space and gaps that we don't know and she can expose it. She's very smart. But often she doesn't. And I think that that's what tonight was about. Did I let it go too long? I always do.
I don't know how.
But I'm
I
into
actually
it.
don't know how long it went.
I'm into
I
it.
couldn't.
Once I'm into it, I want people to experience that. If they don't want to watch, they don't watch. You know, I went down to Tijuana because I thought it was right. I knew people weren't going to watch. They didn't watch.
Well,
I get that. But
that's
sometimes
different.
I put things on because I think it's important.
Yeah.
And this is the best the president has. If you're out there and you support the president, if you're out there and you're a conservative or you're open-minded on it and you're not sure, you just saw what their best case is, and you show what happened when I tested it. I got attacked. And it's important for people. Is it completely satisfying to you? Nope. I get it, and plenty of people agree with you.
Okay. We could go on.
I don't want to eat up too much of your show.
We'll do it. Excuse me.
We'll do it this weekend. Hopefully I see you.
We'll do it this weekend. I just got to say, you have more patience than I do. Thank you, Chris.
I love you, Don. I'll see you tomorrow.
Later. All right, you too, buddy. I'll see you later.